man, they got girls wearing skirts, Crocs, and I'm like, I can't take this seriously. You know, like a basketball program, you got to look the part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I'm not doing this. So I pulled them out, and then I looked for other programs, couldn't find anything. And then he says, Dad, why don't you coach me? And I was like, I can probably do this. You know?
By the way, for those of you paying attention at home and listening to every single podcast episode, Chris No, fashion icon, has taken us into the PG-13 territory with these 3 curse words that he's dropped. I love it. Keep talking.
Yeah. I'm sorry about it, man.
No, we'll leave it out. It's all good.
Yeah.
We're here with Chris. No, keep going. Finish it, man.
Yeah.
Finish it. You do your thing.
Right, we're good.
They just won their tournament for 10U.
Yeah. 10U and 9U.
10U and 9U, but you have a daughter in 10U and a son in 9U.
Yeah.
You have 3 kids, though, correct?
I have 3 kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are the kind of co-owner, assistant coach. Talked about leverage.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm the owner of the program,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty much like the assistant coach for like every single division we have.
So what does that mean you're the owner? Talk about leverage and tell us what that is.
Oh, I mean, the Leverage is actually a fashion house. I own multiple clothing brands.
You started a brand. You started multiple brands. You started a logistics company.
Yeah.
A manufacturing company, effectively, and others, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you've outfitted people from Luka, Giannis, Dame Lillard.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Bucks and Giannis, Dame. Karl Anthony Towns, Jason Tatum, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I'm a big basketball fan.
Okay. And you were in fashion for years before you started your own brand.
Yes. So I've been a sales rep since 2003.
Okay.
So this is 20 years. 20 years in the industry. So that's all it was. I started off as a sales rep. Me and my business partner met at a clothing brand together. And then
What clothing brand am I allowed to ask?
It's called I'm King. I'm King Clothing. And then from there, we started our own sales agency.
When you say you're a sales rep, what does that mean to people who aren't in the fashion brand?
Sales rep is like, let's just say a brand like Levi Strauss, right? There's sales reps that sell it to stores. So I'm the Levi sales rep, so I'm the one that sells it to like a Nordstrom's, a JCPenney's, a Dillard's, or any of those boutique stores. And so a lot of these stores have sales reps that actually go store to store and sell the product to stores, wholesale. And so from there, you sell the product to wholesale, and the store sells it retail. And so I've been a sales rep since 2003. I was doing it for like about almost 8-9 years before I started my own sales agency. So my sales agency, I was representing multiple brands.
So when you talk about being a sales rep and starting a sales agency, you have brands that you represent. Do you have to love them to represent them? Is it a business model thing? Is it the potential in the marketplace? Like, what is that?
For me, it was like this. It was more about making money. At the end of the day, like I had a clientele list, and I know what my clientele list is going to buy. And so if it was a
you're not working for the brands first? Are you thinking about the Dillards and the Marshalls and all those guys?
So I'm looking for brands that I know that I could place into stores that I represent and I sell to.
You're going out and scouting brands, saying that guy's an upcoming, that woman's an upcoming.
Yep. And so I did that. I did that for a while. I built a big clientele list of like over 1,000 retailers worldwide.
How do you build something like that? Is it just cold calling?
Honestly, it was one of those things, being in the industry for so long.
Yeah.
And so I would go to all these trade shows, and over the years I would
all across the world probably.
Yeah. So I did Bread and Butter Germany. I did I did all like the Magic trade shows in Vegas, New York.
When people are hearing this Magic and Bread and Butter, what does that mean for people who aren't in the fashion world?
I mean, it's pretty much a trade show where you can purchase products. So let's just say you're a brand. You would go to these trade shows, and then you would pay for a booth. And so there at a booth, you would show your product, and buyers would go there to buy new product. So like it's normal. Like almost everyone has a trade show. There's like a licensing expo that's a trade show. There's the SEC that's a trade show. I literally was backpacking through stores, going like city to city, and I just built my clientele list. And I would go cold call into a store.
You have what are they called?
Samples.
They have their samples.
Yep. I would go into a store, speak to a buyer, face to face. Business is done face to face. And I would just speak to a buyer, like, who's your buyer? What are you buying right now?
Is business still done face to face, or is it?
I believe business is still done face to face. That's the reason why my business is still very positive.
Yeah.
End of the day, it's more than just an email, a phone call, a text message. I still think that if you have a reputation, or you have like a rapport with somebody, you should do business face to face and see them so often.
Is it more essential to be face to face, or has it softened a little bit based upon the tools we have?
Well, I mean, it's softened a lot. A lot of people don't believe in it, but I'm still very old school. That's the reason why I'm so successful with my business the way it is, because I still have my sales reps that work for me now. They still every single quarter go to the stores and go in
backpacking there.
Yeah, with all my products, like garment bags and everything. So we do road trips for every territory that we have.
Are you cold calling? Do they know you're coming?
They know we're coming. I mean, we have a clientele list. Like almost any store that sells streetwear or urban fashion, if you say the Leverage, they know what it is. I mean, I represent and I've worked in the industry since 2012 was when I started the Leverage. The parent company. The parent company is called the Leverage.
I see.
And then all the brands underneath us is brands owned by the Leverage.
I see.
Yeah.
What kind of brands are owned by the Leverage?
Diet Starts Monday, Embellished Jeans, Chris Denim.
Diet Starts Monday?
Yeah, Diet Starts Monday. An amazing brand. Let me see. Reference and Co. Richie Lee Collection, Memory Lane.
All streetwear?
All streetwear.
Never conflicts if you have all those brands?
Well, the thing is, every single brand has a separate and unique look.
Got it.
I got a hat brand, I got a denim brand, I got a more athletic leisure streetwear brand. So, everything, for me, it's just like trying to partner up with brands that has a niche, a different look, where, if I'm working with a store, I know it would work. So
do those brands have to reflect your brand in order to be represented by your brand, or
it just depends. Like I will always look for business partners and stuff like that too, if they have something that's very unique that I'm not currently doing. So
what brings you here, fashion guru, fashion icon, to a basketball tournament?
I grew up a gym rat. I played high school basketball.
Lefty, righty?
I'm a righty.
Shooting point
guard, pure point guard. I'm throwing the pass as much as I possibly can.
Facilitating. Which is what you're doing right now, facilitating. Same thing in different world.
Yes.
Okay.
And the beautiful part is this, is like my son actually started playing NJB at 4 years old.
For people who don't know what NJB is, what is it?
It's a basketball program, but it was more or less like a rec league where parent volunteer. And he liked it, And for me, I was just like, man, this is awesome, that he liked it because I love basketball. And so, as a father and everything too, like when your kid is into a sport and that you're into, it's game over.
So do you think it's nurture and nature? Is it epigenetics, or was he watching you enjoy basketball? That was his purchase point, so that was a bonding mechanism?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, It was a little bit of both. And the beautiful part about it was like I was able to create an academy league around him. So what it was after we stopped playing NJB, he was like, Dad, I want to keep on playing. What's next? And at the time, he's only 4 years old, turning 5. I was like, man, there's not a lot of basketball programs that cater to younger kids on like an 8-foot hoop.
Yep.
And so I looked around all over for it. I went to another program here, and the first day of the program, I'm like, man, we got girls wearing skirts, Crocs, and I'm like, I can't take this seriously, like a basketball program, you got to look the part, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I'm not doing this. So I pulled them out, and then I looked for other programs, couldn't find anything. And then he says, Dad, why don't you coach me? And I was like, I can probably do this.
By the way, for those of you paying attention at home and listening to every single podcast episode, Chris No, fashion icon, has taken us into the PG-13 territory with these 3 curse words that he's dropped. I love it. Keep talking.
I'm sorry about it, man.
No, we'll bleep it out. It's all good.
Yeah. But like,
So you couldn't take that bowl.
Yeah.
And
so I was just like, you know what? Let me go ahead and coach it. So what I did was easy. I mean, I pulled out my Rolodex of friends, and we actually got sponsorship money for the first season. So
how did you do that?
I got friends from LVMH and Dior actually cut us a check.
Christian Dior cut you a check.
Dior actually cut us a check. So I had friends at South Coast Plaza, and he was just like, hey, I love what you're doing with your basketball, with your kids in basketball and training them. He's like, we would love to help. And I was like, hey, I have an idea. I want to run a free basketball program and around kids 8 and under. What did you guys do? They're like, hey, you know what? We will sponsor it. We'll have like this weekend sale for one of their collections. He's like, for the whole sale for the whole week, we'll give you a percentage of the sales, and that'll go towards your basketball academy.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it was crazy. So they cut us a check. Obviously,
confirm or deny, the first year you were playing in leather Dior uniforms.
No, we were. No, but the beautiful part was like I have a lot of relationships. Obviously, working for the fashion industry, I called my friends at Puma. We're a Puma sponsored brand. So they're like, okay, man, how many kids you got? We'll send them shoes. Called my friends at Balls Life. They gave us backpacks. PSD gave us underwear. So literally my first season, it was like about 28 kids or so came out, and I just ran through the whole program free for like over the first year. And then COVID, obviously this is right around the time COVID happened too.
What is the relationship between fashion and basketball? I'm thinking pro basketball now.
It happened, and I think the godfather of it is Nick Young. I mean, and I know
Swaggy P.
Yeah, Swaggy P. He was like the first guy that was actually dressed the part. Like he was literally like a fashion icon for a basketball player.
You know him?
Yeah, and I know him personally.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you think he was the juncture that where everything
Oh yeah,
changed?
he is 100% the godfather of like this fashion, all these NBA players always coming in the tunnel dressed up too. And
It's now a part of the entire pageantry.
Yeah.
It's coming in
Yeah.
and whatever you're wearing, who you're wearing.
Yeah, and it's like it went kind of hand in hand. Like even myself, for a little bit, I was working with the Ball family, and so Big Baller brand.
Lonzo, Lamar.
Lonzo, yeah.
LeVar, Lonzo.
A beautiful family. They're amazing.
When did you start working with them? When they're in high school?
Literally, when Lonzo signed with the Lakers, got drafted to the Lakers, I was actually working on his brand ZO2. And another thing, too.
Not Big Baller brand.
Not Big Baller. So it was a brand underneath Big Baller brand called ZO2. It was his collection. It was more higher end, athletic leisure, not just T-shirts and printables and stuff like that too.
Yep.
And I was actually crazy. I was actually styling him as well. So
how was that experience?
That was cool. It was cool. I had a lot of relationships over there at South Coast Plaza. I would just pull pieces from all of the department stores that I needed, take it to him. I would give him looks and everything too. And I was like, hey man, you're going to be an NBA player. This is going to be a big deal. Being a fashion icon and an NBA player is going to go hand in hand for your brand. So you got to mix in your personal brand and some high-end fashion as well.
So what are the mechanics with that? You approach him and say, I'm your guy? How do you guys choose each other?
I mean, the thing was, I was introduced to the family,
yep.
And they liked my distribution, the logistics, and my
what does
design
that mean?
team. Pretty much they had the whole idea about starting a brand for Lonzo.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would love to work for Lonzo. So for us, we have a whole in-house design team, production, marketing, and everything too.
That's quite an accomplishment. That's a significant operation.
Yeah. Our operations is actually pretty impressive, I would say.
At what point in the process was this in the arc of the Big Baller brand? Because
this is the very beginning. This is when they blew up.
They were launching their own shoe.
This is during the whole time. During the whole time with Stadium Lane and everything.
The halcyon years of Big Baller brand.
Oh, it was crazy.
Heady times.
It was crazy. Like at that time, this is when they were at the peak. I was actually on the Facebook show.
Oh, you're kidding. Were you helping them understand how like the you're talking about production pipeline.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you this.
Yeah.
What were the processes they went through? Because there were some growing pains there in terms of fulfilling.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, that was on their Big Baller brand itself.
Yep.
So we just handled the ZO2 collection.
I see.
So, I mean, we only had one season until, like, the tragic situation that happened with our uncle and the whole embezzlement and stuff like that, and they just stopped the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at that time, it was easy. I mean, I would design a collection. I would show him, like, the samples of what I was thinking, and I would manufacture, make it, and he'd give me approval of what he didn't like, and then we made the collection.
That's fantastic. So you were designing all the way through distribution.
Yeah, we did everything.
Are you doing point of sale in like a mall? Or are you direct distribution?
No.
Online?
Everything we did was DTC. We didn't put into any whole stores at all. I mean, they had like a crazy
DTC,
following.
direct to consumer. So
yes.
via web, via Instagram.
Web. Yeah, via web.
So that in of itself is an interesting thing to launch. I mean, you can probably launch the basics, I would imagine, in a rudimentary way relatively easily, but to actually have something that surfaces and then has strength and value and reaches people is a tricky thing. Yeah?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So when did you and how did you learn how to do that? Were you figuring it out along the way?
No, I've been doing it with all my brands. It's easy. I mean, this is what we do. That's pretty much our wheelhouse. Our wheelhouse is.
But you didn't start there, right? You added skills along the way.
It's one of those things where being in the fashion industry for so long, how long I've been, it's like the food chain. One part to another part to another part. So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we were pretty much eating up the food chain one by one. Like, okay, well, you have a brand. Okay, who does your logistics? We do our logistics.
What does logistics mean to someone who doesn't know?
Logistics is pretty much the back end, the shipping, the storing, the counting, and all that. Like the 3PL.
The under 3PL. What does that mean?
A 3PL. It's a point of logistics. So point of logistics. So pretty much, if you have a brand, somebody has to ship it. Somebody has to put it online. Someone has to shoot the product and put it online. Someone has to do
film it, shoot it, photograph it.
Someone has to do the customer service. So we did all that. A lot of people use a third party for it. A lot of brands do.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to do it themselves. And so yeah, that's my logistics company.
So you're sitting there. You have to also, I imagine, understand how many pieces of how many items to print or to produce.
Yeah.
So you're not leveraged and having 1,000 pieces on the shelf.
I mean, that was pretty easy. It was just all data. We looked through their Shopify. We knew what they were selling prior, which was crazy.
But isn't some of that sitting around a corner or over a hill, anticipating what people are going to want?
It was very easy. It was just pretty much looking at the units of what they were selling, how many people were buying certain products, and then what we did is we went smart. We went smart, and we're like not overproducing many products just to see how it launched. But the first season launched, it was great.
Is the strategy that if you don't overproduce, it becomes more of a in-demand commodity?
100%.
If you sell out, that's a great problem to have.
100%.
So you find yourself there. You're working with Big Baller Brand.
Mm-hmm.
That's not your first foray into basketball. You're a point guard in high school. Did you play in college?
No, I didn't play in college.
So you've always been attracted to basketball and fashion.
Yep.
Perfect union of the two.
Yeah.
A perfect union of the two. So you're building your brand, you're building your companies. How do you find yourself here? You have 3 kids, your first child.
Yeah,
so you want to continue to matriculate.
Yeah, so when I started the nonprofit, it's a nonprofit. The whole basketball academy, it just kept on running.
You think that's the reason why people were attracted to what you're doing, because it's a nonprofit. It's to help build basketball community.
I'm putting more money into this basketball academy than I'm making. Like, I'm literally donating money into this. That's the reason why we have the best shoes, the best gear, the best uniforms. Like, that was my thing. I'm in the fashion industry. Of course we're going to have the best uniforms. Of course we're going to have the best warm-ups. Of course we're going to have the best hoodies. We're the best dressed team, period.
Right.
I mean, I'm in the fashion industry. We have to be.
And it sounds like you guys are pretty well coached. And
very, very well coached.
Who's your coaching compatriots? You said you're the assistant coach.
Oh
in both
yeah.
teams,
So Brian Dong, he's my head coach for my kids team. So they're like the 9Us, and Felix, he's the head coach for the 12 and under.
You're an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
What made you think you can entrepreneurialize this? Because I understand fashion, that's your wheelhouse. I understand basketball, but it's kind of a bold thing to say, I'm going to start this thing.
See, the only thing about this is that I don't look at this as a business. I look at this as like a project for my kids. And so the thing is, my kids are going to play basketball anyways. They're going to have to play basketball for a program, whether they're playing for, West Coast Elites, Ironman, OGP, or anything at all. I'm like, sorry about that,
Bring it.
Yeah. I'm like, if I'm going to have to do that, I'd rather dump in my own money and let the kids play with their friends. And so that's what it was. We offered it for free. I had a bunch of my son and my daughter had their friends come and play. And so it became like a little community and a family.
I was about to say, you built community.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's the biggest thing. Like, if you buy into the community and you buy into like the whole program, then it's easy. I mean, for us, it's like this tournament. We only signed up for a 9U team, right? Okay. They gave us a free 10U game because I guess the team called out. And all I did was I went through our list of kids that are all under 10 years old, and I just texted the whole family, hey, who wants to play, you know? And then everybody's like, I'm in. And so, that's how we played today for the 10U.
So is the culture, I believe the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Is the culture of how you run your business is the same as the culture of how you run this nonprofit?
100%. You treat everybody exactly the way you want to be treated. For me, it's like
old school, golden rule.
Old school. Like, the way I speak to my warehouse manager, to my, to the janitor, the guy washing my car is the same exact way I talk to my business partner.
What happens if they're not doing what you ask them or need for them to do? Do you snap or do you go hard?
No. End of the day, it's like this. I'm not the type that yells a lot. I will yell, but you got to praise people when they're doing something good, and you got to tell them when they're doing something bad. It's the same way I am with the coach. We have some coaches that are pretty strict, and I sit on the bench as an assistant coach when a kid's getting chewed out. I'll sit him down next to me. I'll be like, hey, you see what you did there? This is what I need you to do.
Were you the oldest, youngest, middle child in the family?
The youngest.
Interesting, youngest.
The youngest.
So did you have modeling of your parents or your older brothers and sisters to?
Not really. I mean, both of my brothers were half brothers, so I was pretty much an only child.
In terms of basketball and the point guard of it all, did you find the point guard position or did the point guard position find you?
I mean, listen, dude. I'm 5'9". I'm Asian. What other position am I going to play? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm not going to be 6 feet tall. I'm not going to be super athletic. Yeah. It's either you're going to play point guard, pass the ball, play some defense.
Let me drill down a little bit. I don't mean the position itself. I don't mean the distinction of what the position usually demands in terms of size or how they grade, how they're bracketed with size. Center is the tallest guy.
Yep.
What I mean by that is the point guard is the floor general.
Yeah.
Were you the floor general in your life before you found basketball, or did that help you? Did that define it, or did that grow it or reveal it?
I mean, I would say it kind of defined it. I mean, growing up, playing point guard, you're running the show, right?
You're running the show now. That's what I'm really getting at. You're doing the same things now, it feels like, except in a more sophisticated, more three-dimensionalized idea. You're choreographing, you're
Yeah.
facilitating,
100%.
you're moving, you're I don't say commanding, but you're directing, you're bringing out the best in your people, in your team.
And that's what I want.
So you've been doing the same thing effectively in different categories for a long
Yes.
time, and now you're just bringing it all together.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Honestly, I want, like, there's been a lot of times we've been talking. I want to buy this place. I want to buy Momentous. Like, I would
Why?
like to own the actual gym. Just
This
like,
facility that we're in right now, Momentous.
whether it's this facility or somebody else, I would like, my dream and my goal is to one day own a facility like this
Yeah.
and run our basketball program through it. And so, I mean, you know, who knows?
Entrepreneur, coach, fashion icon, sales rep,
Yes.
father,
Yes.
visionary. Thank you so much for joining us. I
No,
really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.